Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello. I'm so glad that you decided to join us today. We are going to provide some answers and wisdom and direction. Hopefully, we want to hear from you, so you can give us a call at 1-800-229-3000. And by we, I'm talking about me, Marc Cameron, and Dr. Jacqui Mack-Harris. And Marc is a marriage and family therapist, as well as a great co-host and all-around amazing therapist. And Jacqui, Dr. Jacqui Mack, is also a psychotherapist and nurse, a vet, a professor. Like, man, you got it going on, Jacqui. And so because of all of that, I want to know what is on your mind today.
Anxiety. And specifically Inside Out. The movie, the second one came out, and I love Inside Out. But there's one character in the movie called Anxiety, and man, do they get Riley in a pickle. And then there is a recovery. And I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, but if you haven't seen it, go see it. But the whole goal in Riley's life was to make it good, make it feel good, make Riley popular, and make her the winner. And so Anxiety was working really hard to give Riley what Riley wanted, but was running, just running over everything in her path to do it. And that's how anxiety is in our life. And it's there trying to protect us. It's there as our fire alarm when danger is there. But sometimes it is in the driver's seat when it should be in the trunk. And in the driver's seat, it can take us down some roads we really don't need to go down. And I've noticed that for myself personally, as a recovering emotional avoider, anxiety to me looks like 6 jobs. Like, I am so busy. I am doing so many things because there's something I want or a way I think life should be. And so I am just running, trying to get it all done. And then there are these moments where peace comes over me. And I remember that's not what God has called me to. He hasn't called me to run back and forth between 6 jobs. He's called me to peace and to set my anxiety before him. And there are lots of moments where I trust him with that. But then sometimes I lose track of that trust and that faith that God's got it. And I start trying to do it on my own because anxiety is telling me that I have to. And so just for the people who are out there who are dealing with anxiety, just that they would acknowledge it and seek help and support so that they can actually walk in the peace that God is calling us to.
I heard that that whole bit about anxiety was so powerful in the movie. I haven't seen it yet. But somebody also brought up the fact that anxiety is a part of life, right?
Yep.
That we are going to have it. So I love the balance that you're presenting, Jacqui, that God did call us to a life of peace, and we will experience anxious moments.
Yep.
We will experience anxiety, and we have to learn, what do we do when we feel anxious? And, I know that in the movie, I know this much, that joy comes in. And, and she reminds anxiety. And, I heard Priscilla Shirer say, the joy of the Lord is our strength. And in those moments when we have anxiety, we can look to the Lord and know that he is our strength. We're going to feel anxiety, and peace is also available. Peace that passes all understanding, which is such a gift. We're so grateful. Thanks for bringing it up. I got to go see that soon.
Yes.
I saw the first one, but that was a long time ago. Thank you, Jacqui. A lot of people are dealing with anxiety because they are doing 6 jobs or 6 things or thinking about 6 lanes of traffic in front of them. We're thinking about you. We're going to be right back after this break.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all. Yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Everyman's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Everyman's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so grateful that you joined us, and we are going to go straight to the calls. We're going to talk with Eugenia, who's calling us from Frederick, Maryland, watches us on YouTube. We love our YouTube family. Click that subscribe and like button, and it gets the word out to so many more people. Eugenia, how can we help you today?
Hi, my name, my name is Eugenia. I'm a returning caller. You helped me back in, I think, 2022, or it was 2021 when I went to the Emotional Freedom Workshop, and I was able to get a scholarship, and so it was just a blessing. I was strangled by my husband August 7th of 2022, and I don't know if you remember me, but I called, and all of you were telling me, you know, if there's been no apology, then there's no change. And so I went back, and I went back home, and it wasn't because I really wanted to. I just felt hopeless. The landlord that I had wouldn't renew my lease, and I was devastated, and I lost hope, I think. I moved back, and things escalated and got worse. So I began to put my plan together, my action plan as far as leaving, and I did. And, you know, of course, all narcissists do everything they can to get back at the victim. And he got a restraining order on me, not saying that I did something violent, but I did tell him I would call his job and tell them what he's doing. And so he got revenge on me, and he went and got a restraining order on me. Yesterday I went to court, and I went at the wrong time, so I had to have it rescheduled, and I went before the judge to tell him I was afraid for my life, and the judge wouldn't even hear me. He basically told me he's not going back on what he ruled before, because before my husband got away with strangulation, he was able to pay a lawyer and get out of it scot-free, and he had it showed it from his record. So now I'm homeless, and it's so hard because my mother told me that she doesn't believe me, and my sister doesn't believe me. My children are abusive.
Well, Eugenia, you're in a stuck place, right? Are you safe?
Yeah, I'm in a hotel right now.
Okay, all right. Jacqui, how about we start with you? How can we help Eugenia get on a new path?
Do you have a therapist, Eugenia?
She's out of the country for a month.
Okay. Can we get you connected with a life recovery group?
Please.
Okay.
I just have a question as to where do I go when I have nobody? Everybody in my life, my husband was able to manipulate, and they don't talk to me. They turn their back on me and betray me, including my family, my mother, my brother, my sister, my children.
Well, that's why I mentioned the life recovery group, because it seems like you are very much alone at this point, and you can't make any of them do anything other than what's already happening. So your focus is on you and how you can become safe. Do you have skill? Are you able to get a job?
I have a job.
Okay. And so getting in the life recovery group can get you some support that you don't currently have. Your therapist is a way, if you find yourself in struggle, is there a backup therapist that she's provided for you?
No, she didn't.
Okay.
That's why I'm getting a new one. I'm going to change. I'm going to get a new therapist.
Okay, maybe we can help you find somebody in your area. That's my recommendation, is that you just start working with a therapist and getting into some deep work for yourself, the trauma that you've experienced, the loss of the family connections, all the attachment injuries that are occurring and that may have occurred in your history, and start to put a plan together to bring yourself up out of the pit that you've kind of spiraled down into. That's going to be my suggestion. Marc, what do you think?
Yeah, groups are a great way to build an instant support network, and especially if you can find, a group that's tailored to your specific need, right? Because then you get this instant community of others also who have this shared experience with you. So there's empathy, there's validation, there's understanding. So that's what I would say to look into, Eugenia, and we'll help you get linked to some recovery groups here. I think as you looking to find a therapist, you might want to look to see if you can find somebody who's trained in eye movement desensitization reprocessing, EMDR, because you've been through a lot of trauma here, and those images from going through just a traumatic event like being strangled and bodily feelings and sensations and emotions, those stay with us. And so going to somebody who can do EMDR with you can help you process that memory and just kind of move that around internally in your brain to reduce the sensitivity of triggers for you. And you might find that helpful.
Eugenia, the other part of this too is that the story is overwhelming you, and it becomes the defense, like you're on defense of trying to write your name. It makes sense, but what happens is you get stuck in the past that way. We are going to get you connected with a therapist that maybe you have to redirect the energy towards, what do I need to do? Like what Jacqui asked, you have a job, you need some place to live, like get focused on what does Eugenia need to make her life the way that it is going to be for the future, as opposed to try and remedy the past. But we're grateful that you're safe, and we'll get you connected with both the Life Recovery Group as well as a therapist. I'm going to also send you a copy of Changes That Heal. It's Dr. Henry Cloud's book that I think can help you as you just kind of walk this path. And we're so grateful that you called. So sorry for this challenge. It's just overwhelming. And a lot of times, I was just talking to somebody the other day that had been out of an abusive marriage for over 13 years. And in one little conversation, her body went right back to as if they were still married. And I said, wow, what is that? She's like, don't be a therapist, Becky. And I was like, I can't help it. I can see what the past is still present. And I said, you have been safe for over 13 years, and yet that threat is still right beneath the surface. And so that's why I say that to Eugenia, because your history bumps up against that present, and it operates as if it's still happening. And EMDR is a great way to deal with that, as well as the group. Jacqui? I
was just going to say that again. EMDR is going to be a big help for that.
Yeah, it's so hard. But listen, if you are in a situation where you're stuck, there is hope. You don't have to live in that cycle. We're going to go back to the calls, and we're going to talk to Betty, who's calling us from Sacramento. She listens on the app, and you can too. You can download the app wherever you get your apps. Betty, we're glad that you called. How can we help you today?
Hi there. Thanks for taking the call. Question about my adult son, 29 years old. He's married with a family, 2 little kids. We have a great relationship. They're walking with the Lord. That's been just an amazing connection to have with them. They live locally, so we get to see them and the grandkids all the time. So they're in yet another financial pickle. He's the sole breadwinner. He does not want his wife working. They're pretty traditional and faith-based in the way they do marriage, and he does not want her working outside the home and putting the kids in daycare. So he was laid off from his job about 2 months ago. But even before then, he was asking for money to tide them over for this and that, sometimes a few thousand, sometimes a few hundred, just off and on. I never asked for it back. They needed help right when they got married. They really didn't have a living situation. I gifted them $60,000 out of my folks' trust as a down payment for a house, with that verbal agreement that it was for a down payment for a house. Should have put it in writing because they ended up spending it on debt. They paid off all their debt and her student loans and got debt free. which is good, but now they are still in a horrible living situation. And now he's laid off. He point blank asked, is there more money from the trust right now? We're desperate. Right now I'm holding the line saying no. There are other kids to consider who haven't been paid anything yet. We need this in retirement, so you're not supporting us in retirement. I'm scared that even if I do a loan with interest, like my grandparents did with us, with their trust, I'm afraid that's enabling and not just letting him figure this out. And appreciate your input.
Okay, well, Betty, you might be right about that. Marc, let's start with you.
Yeah, Betty, why do you think they keep getting into these financial challenges?
Oh, you mean my son?
Yes.
Unsound financial decisions, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like overspending.
Yeah. So it sounds like they're it's more than just bad luck that's happening. It's more than just, I just lost my job. There's mismanagement of funds here. And so you continuing to bail him out is going to keep them in the same cycle, because he knows that they can continue spending the money in the way that they are, right? And then there's this backup plan coming from you. So I agree with you. I understand why you're concerned. It sounds like you've given quite a bit of money here. And, to use a financial term, you're not seeing any return on the investment here. What do you think they might do if you say, I don't have any money? Where would they go? Is there any other support? Can her family provide help? What would they do if you didn't help?
Well, for now, they have a roof over their heads because they're living with her folks. And I don't see them kicking them out if they can't pay rent. I mean, he is applying for jobs. He actually landed a job, but it's half the pay of what he was getting before. He, says he's trying to get a better job. I'm trying to stay out of his job hunt. But no, I don't think they'd be on the street. Well, but they're down to one car on its last legs, and just they need a million things.
Yeah, so sometimes we just got to step back at first to see if somebody can struggle and then recover. And so that's what your growth here might be, because you've been quick to jump in and quick to help out, and he knows that. And for now, it might be just take a step back, just say you can't help in this moment, provide empathy and comfort and emotional support, but take a step back and see what they can do, because that's where growth occurs, is when we struggle with the tension, because if you take that tension away, it robs them of the opportunity to grow. Then if you really do see that they're working towards something, they're trying everything, they're doing better, maybe they're going to financial management classes, and they're really on a strict budget, maybe you can help them out, and instead of just giving money, maybe you can buy groceries every now and then, or something like that. But I would be hesitant just to hand over cold hard cash to them again.
Yeah, that 60 grand was the last time for that. Because he's already shown you he's not going to necessarily do with it what you believe he's going to do with it. He's going to do things the way he wants to do them. And I think that's part of why the struggle is necessary. My husband and I had conversations as our children became adults, and some wonderings of if we avoided the struggle for them too much. And so not having that struggle, they missed some growth opportunities. And now that they are adults and married, now we have to take a step back. We can help in the ways that we can help. For example, letting them stay with you, pay off debt, and save money so that they can buy a house. And you see them doing those things, and then you don't feel like you're enabling and taking advantage. You feel like you're supporting and helping them get to the next level. That's what you hope to be doing. But in this case with him, he hasn't treated you he hasn't treated you with honesty when it comes to the finances. And it may not be a thing that just began in his adulthood. He's probably always been able to come to you as a resource financially, and he will continue to do that throughout his life. It's interesting to me that he decided that his wife, he doesn't want his wife to work, which I understand. You want your children to be with a parent. However, that then put the burden of his finances on his parents. rather than on him and his wife. If you're going to have that position of I'm going to be the only one working, I want my partner to stay home, then you have to be able to take care of the family. And he isn't able to do that. And so he's been enabled to even take that position of we're not going to be a two-income family, although we need to be. I'm just going to get that other half from my mom.
Yeah,
Right.
It sounds like their biggest issue is budgeting. It's not about getting more money in. It's learning what to do with the money that they have.
Yeah, you have an outgo problem, not an income problem,
correct.
as my husband recently said.
Well, and Betty, I know that you're going to have feelings about this as you watch them struggle, but their struggle is not your problem. And when you give, you have to give as though you're never going to see it again. But you need to be wise about that. So it's not a matter of never give, it's discernment, and to have some sort of an agreement with your husband and you about how that's going to go. We're grateful that you called. We're going to send you a copy of Dr. Jim's book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I ended up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. You know, I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying. So my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. Either outright or subtly, many people who follow Jesus and walk with God think they shouldn't struggle. We think God will give us lives of ease and comfort once we decide to follow Christ. The idea is, if we're good Christians, we'll have it all together. When you come to Christ, your problems disappear. In fact, many churches will communicate that very message week in and week out. As a result, those who attend those churches hide their struggles because they mistakenly equate struggles with a lack of faith. But the Christian walk wasn't meant to be a stroll through the park. Following the example of Jesus won't remove struggle from your life. In fact, it often adds to the struggle. Some of the most committed Christians have lived some of the most difficult lives. The Bible goes so far as to tell us to expect trials and difficulties and to be joyful when we face them. I'm Stephen Arterburn. For help in learning to struggle, visit newlife.com. And thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
I love that because it goes back to what you were just talking about, Jacqui, is, you know, to expect trials, to know that struggles will come. You know, we talk about anxiety in the opening, but I always love Steve's perspective on things. And it's true that we will struggle. We will have trouble, but take heart. God has overcome the world. So we have hope and we have a future. Right now, we have a call, and we're going to go to the calls. We're going to talk with Paul, who's calling us from Richmond, Virginia, and he watches us on YouTube. Hi, Paul. Thanks for calling. How can we help you?
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. I met a young lady on Facebook dating service, directly, head to head, 2 years ago. We've been talking. She came to my house again. I was too shy to come downstairs, so she went back up to Portage in New York. And she wants to get married. We've been talking on and off, and she wants to get married. She lives with her daughter. She does work. She's not a U.S. citizenship, but she wants to get married. I wonder if I marry. She wants to come in next week, and I'm going to go to Justice of the Peace, the Minnesota building, and get my license and marry her. If I'm rushing it, so I take my time, but I don't even know if I go ahead and marry her.
You're absolutely rushing it. I can hear it in your voice. Okay. You did not come down to meet her because you were too shy. Have you seen her in real life since then?
Yes, 2 times. No. Since she came by the second time, no. We've been talking on the phone.
So you've talked on the phone, and you've met in person twice.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you guys known each other?
We've been talking over 2 years.
Have you considered premarital counseling?
Yes. And when she come, I want to get that done before I go down Mississippi Bill, City Hall, and make the decision.
Well, I wouldn't go to premarital counseling just yet. I'm a big fan of pre-engagement counseling, right? Because oftentimes when people go into premarital counseling, they've already made up their mind that they're going to get married. Right, exactly. You're already half in. You bought the ticket, right? Yeah. You're going to the event at that point. And so I recommend pre-engagement counseling where you get to know each other. When you get to know somebody via long distance, there's this idealization that happens because you get to pick up the phone and talk to them when you're ready. If you're having a bad day, you're not going to pick up the phone and talk to them, right? And you get to hang up when you need space. You don't get to see somebody in everyday life situations and them getting a flat tire, right? Or how they handle stress. And that's just as important as all of these positive love emotions is to be able to share in the stress and the tension and to see how somebody handles these things. Because if you don't do that, you for sure will experience that in marriage. And then you're going to be wondering what happened here. So I think, Paul, you probably know the answer here. If you're asking, am I rushing it? You probably know that you are rushing it here. So I would say, yellow light flashing, pause, caution. And it doesn't mean that you can't get to know her more, but get to know her more, see her more in person, especially if you're going to become a stepdad to a child. That's a really important role.
You guys should be working on a vision, thinking about what life will look like, what the plans are, what your expectations of marriage are, what is she expecting from you. Sometimes we just, because we're both Christians or because we're both the same whatever, we think we know. We've been talking for 2 years. I know him so well. We've heard all these stories, but that's nothing like what living with the person is going to be like. Even when people are in the same town, they're close by, it's not long distance, and they're dating, marriage uncovers some new, exciting, and often troubling things. Right. And so definitely, I agree with Marc. If you're asking the question, that's why I instantly said, yeah, you already know the answer. You're rushing it because you're asking the question. That is your nervous system's way of causing you to pause. We talked about anxiety a little bit. Anxiety is not all bad. Sometimes anxiety is telling us there is danger around the corner or there's something chasing us, and your anxiety is saying, hey, hold on, pause for a minute, Paul. Let's take a closer look at this, and I would listen.
I wonder, Paul, how do you feel about saying we're going to wait?
I don't, because I'm in school. I'm a Bible institute. I'm in class. I read my Bible more, and I'm still having trouble with my flesh. Paul said that, Paul said in Ephesians, he said that, he said in Corinthians, he said that if the lust increase, he said, right, so let the marriage and burn.
Don't get married just because you are wanting to have sex with her.
Yeah, because if the lust increase. So I'm like, I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe the best sex in the world is marriage sex.
Paul, here's the thing. What they've said is you need to get to know her more. This is more than just sex. We want to get you connected with a men's group. I think that that's going to be helpful And maybe even Every Man's Battle might be a good option for you before you make this step final. We'll be right back after this.
I had been in porn addiction. My past had not been found out at all, yet I had hit a point in my life where it was time.
Men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. The Every Man's Battle Intensive can help.
I never divulged what I'd been doing.
Find help today at New Life's Every Man's Battle Intensive.
This is a place that changed my life in such a positive way for Christ, because I could be the Christian man that I'm called to be.
Now the intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, December 6th through the 8th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I cannot say enough what it does in the Christian community for not just men, for their children, for their wives.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found life recovery. And one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We have been helping people for over 35 years, and I want to let you listen to a call from Steve and Henry. Let's go.
Francis, Colorado Springs, KGFT is the station.
My reason for my call today is I've lost my joy after about 4 years of marriage, maybe earlier, and I'm just needing some insight on getting that joy back.
What was your joy that you lost? When you say you lost it, what was the joy?
Just being happy, not being so depressed or down. I don't know, church has been real hard for me. I just got out of a Pentecostal church that I didn't want to be in anymore because of the legalism and all the dressing and stuff. It's been really hard. My husband is very selfish. I've had to go to the food pantries while he was making money, didn't put food in the house.
Well, okay, so now I think we'd all have to say that given the fact that your husband isn't feeding you and providing for you, there might be a little loss of joy there on the part of anyone going through that. So this makes total sense that you wouldn't be. Why did you marry him? What was so great about him when you said, okay, this is the one for me? A guy that won't feed you. Oh, my goodness. Tell me what he did to convince you I am an amazing human being.
Or is he trying really hard and bad things have happened?
When I first met him, I was in and out of the church, and he was always there. He was providing. He's not like he was now. After a year and a half of being married, things just changed, and we have 4 kids, but 2 we have together. And there was a lot of inappropriate behavior that led me to get him out of my house.
What was the inappropriate behavior?
my daughter, which is biologically mine, she's 8 years old, and he would take her dirty underwear and put it in our face, in her face, down her.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
A lot of stuff.
All right, so this is a sick man. So has he gotten any help? Have you demanded he?
You know what? We've been separated for about 2 months, and I'm continuing on trying to get counseling for me and my kids, which has been difficult because it seemed like a lot of the counselors are so much worried about up front. They just talk about the money issue.
Well, they've got to find a way to make a living themselves, So if they gave it away, then they couldn't be. So you got to be sympathetic to them, but there are places that you can receive help that cost you no money. For instance, you have you have a very severe case of codependency. Would you agree? Have you heard that phrase before?
Yeah, I know I haven't.
Okay.
Had a lot of
so Al-Anon would be a great place for you to get into. I would imagine this man has addictions on top of addictions, or either.
Yeah, he's got.
Well, okay.
The wandering eyes. He goes to the bars. He's
so
just a liar.
Is he in the house? I mean, you guys are separated, so he's not living there now?
Separated, yes.
So he's not around your child now?
I mean, well, when I had that restraining order and the social worker says she doesn't have any findings of any sexual abuse, but the emotional abuse was present.
You did have someone look into it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what are you doing to get over this? Are you plugged into some help? Are you getting some groups? Are you going to, like Steve said, a codependency group? Are you getting him in counseling with you?
No, I'm not in any groups.
All right. Well, let me go back to your original question. What you said is you want to, I think you said restore your joy.
Yeah.
And, if you're totally disconnected from all of God's resources and you feel joyful, something's wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Your point was, the Bible promises us joy, but it promises us joy in a certain package. When God says, "Here I am, and here is all I have to offer." Okay, and if you come this way, you will have an abundant life. Right. That doesn't mean a life without tragedy. It doesn't mean a life without pain. It doesn't mean a life, as we know, go to the story of Job, without awful things happening. Awful things happening. But the package is this: a deep relationship with God, a deep relationship with His Word, a deep relationship in communion with His Spirit, a deep relationship with His people, through which He distributes all of the things that you need.
Right.
The grace that you need, like 1 Peter says, we talk about this all the time, that when we're connected to each other and people are using their gifts in your life of encouragement and healing and teaching and correction and discipline and all the stuff that people give us, it says that is God administering His grace to us through other people. And so whenever somebody calls and they say, God isn't answering my need, but they're not connected to the body of Christ, they're not connected to Him, they're not connected to His Word and His Spirit and experiences and all of that, then it's a little bit like, and I'm not throwing stones here, I'm just kind of explaining the reality that of what the Scripture says. It would be like if we go to the doctor writes us a prescription, and we go home and we don't fill it. You say, well, I went to the doctor, it didn't do us any good.
Right.
So we have to be, as Jesus said, one of the most misquoted passages you'll ever hear. You always hear people say, well, you know the truth and the truth will set you free. So they tell somebody the truth and they're supposed to be better.
Right.
What He said was, if you hold to my teachings,
you're truly my disciples.
Then you will know the truth.
Absolutely. John 8:31-32.
It's the holding in it. It's walking in it. It's going through this, it's doing the whole package. And then you'll get it, and you'll be free. But come on, if you're struggling for 5 years in a marriage, go get in a marriage group. Go get in, like Steve said, a codependency group. Go get some accountability partners, some prayer partners. See, one of the most the coolest things, like you were just at Women of Faith and you do the book signing line, and people come tell you their stories.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest things, I think, and I know you've heard this because you've been out there, one of the coolest things that I love hearing is when people come up and you see the radiance of the spiritual life in their face, and you ask them about that.
Yeah.
What they will invariably tell you is, I was lost, I reached out to God, He led me to this group, I've got a prayer partner, we study the Word together, we pray for each other. And they talk about this knitting together of hearts that the New Testament describes, and you just see, it's like a light is shining around them. But there's always a story like this, that they didn't go, hide on a desert island and, God rain in happy drops from the sky.
Well, and here's another thing. I had a lady come up to me this weekend who said, she asked, do you still have your treatment center there in Southern California? And I said, well, no, kind of the reimbursement, insurance, most of those treatment centers went away, and now we try to do in intensives at retreats and hotels, what we used to do in treatment. She said, well, 14 years ago, I went to one of the Menrith-Meyer New Life inpatients, probably the one you guys were managing here, Henry, in Southern California. So here was a person who was at such a desperate place, I'm willing to go to a hospital. Mm-hmm. That's a mental health. She says, my life has never been the same since I made that courageous decision, mm-hmm. and I want to thank you for what you do, getting more people to that place where they say, I need help. Now, I don't have a lot of people saying, I went into some treatment center 12 years ago or 10 years ago, and ever since, my life has just gone down the tank. Because you learn a different way to... Right. Sandy Patty stands up on the stage on Saturday morning and says, 15 years ago, I went into the New Life Clinic. And when the therapist says, what do you need? I said, I need to get out of here. So back out they go. She's okay. And she says, here comes the therapist behind me. And then the therapist says, once I'm outside, she says, okay, so now, Sandy, what do you need? And Sandy says, no one's really ever asked me that question my whole life. And I said, I need to get back in there and get to work. Come on. People, there is another thing to do in your life. Rather than try harder, feel bad, do nothing, make excuses, get the help you need.
And I will say amen and amen. That's why New Life exists to this day. We have been helping people. We have intensives that will help you. We have counselors. We have coaches. We want you to live the life that God has for you. Call us and we'll get you connected. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll be right back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you. Or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for over 34 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for your life and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly. and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow. Call 1-800-639-5433.
To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. Just like what you heard on that question right before the break, we've been doing this for a long time, and we do it because we have gifts from people who believe in the ministry. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who give to New Life. You make a difference in people's lives. I also want to encourage you, if you have never given before, or maybe you've just been a sporadic giver, those are all good, but we would love for you to be part of our Club New Life family, where you give on a monthly basis. And, for some of you, it may be just as well because you'll forget to give. And then you'll think, oh, I meant to give that donation and I forgot. Well, Club New Life is a way for you can do that on a monthly basis, and we would love for you to join. We have some special perks for being part of that family, and we want to invite you to be part of that family that gives life to so many people. You can go to newlife.com/CNL and you'll see how to sign up. I also know that we have people that listen. We heard today we have people that listen on YouTube, they listen on an app, they listen on radio, and sometimes even when you're listening on radio, you might be at work and you can't call because you've got a question on your heart, but you just have work to do. So we made a way for you to do questions other ways. So you can go to newlife.com/radio, and we've got instructions on how to submit a question when you're not available during the live program. And I've got one such question for Jacqui and Marc to answer. The question is from Stephen, and he says, my 39-year-old son is not capable of doing anything productive or living on his own. I have a hard time dealing with all this and could use some encouragement. He has struggled with acute insomnia since he was a little boy, struggled with social anxiety and overall fear most of his life. Stephen, the person who's asking the question, divorced his mother when he was 12 years old, and that made these issues even more difficult. There have been times in his life when he went as long as 9 days with no sleep, and it has resulted in loss of jobs. About 7 years ago, he became very paranoid while using marijuana to self-medicate for his insomnia. And over the years, he's had multiple dealings with the police, now lives with his mother and stepfather, has no ambition, no anything to do anything, and believes that he needs deliverance from demonic oppression. His mother thinks he may need to be institutionalized. I don't think that Sam could tolerate that. He's been suicidal in the past, going as far back as when he was a teenager. He seems to have lost all hope that his life will improve. And this father is saying, for some time, I've prayed that God would just take him home, that I would like to see the Lord stop his heart when he was sleeping, that he would wake up in the presence of the Lord. I'm so discouraged and depressed watching him struggle in his life. I don't know what would happen to him if his mother and I passed. I continue to pray, but I just can't help but wonder what God's purpose is for Sam. That is a difficult question. What can we do to help Stephen with his relationship with his son, and even maybe help his son in this challenge?
Oh, wow. That is such a hard place to be as a parent. And he's living with his mom and stepdad. He is unmotivated, probably still using marijuana. I wonder, I just have so many more questions. I wonder if mental illness runs in the family. I wonder if his son experienced trauma growing up, if there was a lot of trauma and drama in the home as he was growing up, where this seemingly complex trauma came from. He seems to be responding as someone would who had been through several traumatic experiences and really just got stuck in those experiences, or that maybe had mental illness, and mental illness in the body, even if it hasn't been expressed, it doesn't mix well with marijuana. And so that paranoia then crops up. But also the insomnia. It doesn't say anything here about how they treated that or tried to treat that. So my first thing would be to take care of that really serious problem that he has with insomnia. And I'm sure that over the years somebody has taken him to a doctor, but that would be my focus, is on dealing with the thing that is keeping his mind from resting and his body from healing every day. And sleep is incredibly important. And so I would be working with a sleep specialist, a therapist that specialized in sleep disorders. I know that there is a specific way of doing CBT for insomnia that the military uses. And so I would look for help for the psychological issues and the insomnia to see if we could get some improvement in his motivation.
Well, and Marc, before you go, I want to ask you, Jacqui, when you talk about that, the dad is asking, he's afraid of, he uses the word institution. Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a whole lot of different levels between like what you're talking about and what he's talking about.
Right.
And I just think that could be, he probably needs inpatient care.
Yep. He needs inpatient intensive treatment at the right place.
Right. All right, Marc.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. My heart really goes out to you, Stephen, just, to get to the point where you just want the Lord to take your son home because you see him struggling and you just feel so much anxiety. And, as Jacqui's pointing out, sometimes people go through some pretty traumatic experiences and they... as a result, they experience complex PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and oftentimes that presents as another kind of mental health condition. But I also wonder with Stephen here if there's some kind of mood disorder or something like that happening, possibly bipolar, staying up for days on end, suicidal. Sometimes bipolar can have psychotic episodes where he's believing there's demonic depression. And when there's a neurobiological cause and we try and address it as an emotional health cause, there's going to be a mismatch. And so, it sounds like Stephen's son really does need to get good, competent psychiatric medical care to whatever we misdiagnose, we mistreat. So the first thing we got to do is get the correct diagnosis. For Stephen, for you, I would suggest joining a group. You need help. You can't do this in isolation. It's so difficult to go through this stuff by ourselves, and especially when we feel like we've got to be the savior. There's something that we can do to finally bail someone out, or even feeling like you might even be the cause. What did I do for my son to turn out this way, or what didn't I do that I could have given him? And so, I would say, Stephen, getting into a group for support so that you can get that validation and be around others and get this community who have a similar experience to you to help hold you up, and so you can strengthen each other.
I was thinking too, along that same line, that maybe Stephen even needs therapy himself to do whatever he has to do, because when you do get to a place where you're praying for the Lord to take your child, you're in a situation of desperation. His heart is broken. He is concerned about the future, and it's also a team event here. That the son is living with the mother and stepfather, but they're still all very engaged in what to do about the son. And I think a lot of times family therapy can be part of that process. Many times we talk about addiction in families, and mental health can have the same impact as when somebody has an addiction in a family, because you have all of these different things. But I love what you just said, Marc. Misdiagnosis, what did you say?
Whatever you misdiagnose, you mistreat.
Yes, whatever you misdiagnose, you mistreat. Man, that'll preach for a while, but that's what we're after, is to find out what are we actually dealing with and how to move forward. So grateful for all of you who called in today, and if you need help, you can call us, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thank you, Marc, and thank you, Jacqui, for your wisdom.
Thank you, Becky.
And thank you, listeners. We're so grateful for you. I hope to see you somewhere along the line. And thanks for being part of the New Life family.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.